Good afternoon. It's the 19th of January. Bitcoin has made its pullback the way we were figuring the last couple days, but let's jump into our indicators now and map out what's happening next because it's starting to pump back up again and I wasn't expecting that. So looking at the weekly RSI, it's up to these levels here, and as I was chatting in our Discord chat, join the Discord chat. There's a link down below. Come and join us on the Discord chat. That's where this conversation continues on. So we were talking about what was going on with the relative strength index right at this moment here on this point to see if we are in some sort of similar condition. And it's not the same, of course, but we want to pay attention because what we learn about the price movement during this period right here will tell us whether or not we're in a more of a parabolic move up or not. Right? We'll see this break and come down considerably, or it's going to come to the midline and it's going to work its way back up before we come all the way down. So should the RSI come back to the midline and then start working its way up before, and it doesn't cross the midline here on this daily time frame, then we're going to be continuing to go up from there. So on this daily time frame, I also want to take a second to look at the logarithmic view. Let me open this up. Logarithmic view. I've been drawing this out for months and I saw something new today as I was going through this, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Ichimoku Cloud. And I also want to take a second to talk about the services that we offer for traders. If you're following along with this and this has been interesting to you, be sure to watch to the end. We'll talk about what's going on with cryptocurrencies, and it's huge. And at the end, I'm also going to be showing you all the world's money in one visualization and tell you why Bitcoin is going to go up to the moon. But before that, when we get to the Ichimoku Cloud, we're going to see that it may take a while from where we are to get there. And we'll take a look at that in a second. So let me go back to the normal view. And if you're digging all this stuff, there is a very short window of time to join us in our cryptocurrency trading course. This is the full deal. This is everything I've put together over the last 5 years. I've taught this course over and over and over again. This is the premier edition of everything. That's because it takes everything that we used to do that has worked so well, and now we're combining with all of these indicator sets for some very specific trading patterns. You've seen them coming, and you don't really have to buy the course. You could go through like I did and watch all of the last year's videos and pull together the data that we put together that proves and verifies these 1, 2, 3 formations over and over and over again. Let's jump in because there is so much going on with the alts right now that I want to capture this video and then go and keep working on what's going on with the alts. Let's zoom into the 12-hour time frame because this is where the break is first starting here with this RSI breaking down. And I want to pay attention to how deep this goes. And if it doesn't go any deeper and it starts to work its way up from here, I really want to pay attention to that here on the 12-hour time frame. Let me draw a line on this right across this level. So if we're bouncing up from here and we're not breaking down below this, really key moment. You could just watch this chart, this line, and figure things out from here. Let's zoom in and go into the 4-hour time frame. Overbought. This was a really important part of our analysis the last few days. As all of this was unfolding and unfolding and unfolding, every time it came up to the top of this parallel channel here, we were watching for the breakdown. And as it had these higher highs and we had the RSI flattening out, this divergence was really key to say that there was pressure building up in the market to stop it from going higher just because of this divergence. Let's go into the 1-hour time frame now. This really got oversold here and has bounced up. Now, again, like everything else in the RSI, when it gets down below these levels, I'm watching to see, does it come up here and start to weaken off? Because that is bouncing off of some nice support or a resistance there now. So if we get an internal 1, 2, 3 top in here, I'd expect weakness to come in and we'd be able to see that coming. Of course, if it breaks above these levels and sets like that, and it comes up above these levels and sets like that, now we have a new analysis that we'll have to go through and pay attention to. Let's go to the next indicator because I'm watching what's going on with the volume. We really haven't come into the big volume yet. Not yet. So we had this move up, and that's not even the big volume. When we get to the end of the video and I show you the world's money, it's going to make, you're going to lose sleep on this. Let me zoom in because things are happening behind us there. Volume, 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 really nice. Not enough yet. You see, it's just the first trickle. We're going to need a lot more volume. And when we get this volume, it's going really high. 12-hour time frame. Good. I like to see this volume, more volume, more volume. So this is steady coming in. It's not a divergence setting here off of this volume. So if we had a strong divergence in this, that would be, I would expect more pullback. It could go sideways for a long time. Let's zoom in and see more of the flavor of this, because that's the kind of divergence I'm looking to see. Just to see it. Does it mean anything? Not necessarily. This is just showing what has happened. It's not predicting what may happen, as well as the other indicators. 1 hour time frame, just for the fun of it. Okay, that was a pretty good bunch of selling, and the selling is higher here as we've gone to these lows, lower lows. So let's pay attention now as we come up to this support and resistance. Let's see what the other indicators are telling us at this price level. The weekly MACD is crazy for me. This coming to cross positive as a higher cross here is incredibly bullish, really, like insane. You just can't make the predictions. Everybody's making the predictions. You know what they are. They're crazy. And to have it building up like this is really good. What we're going to be watching for now is to see if we're going to go sideways for a long time and maybe even a pullback. This doesn't mean we're going to be going up, but it's really bullish. Let's zoom in now to see what the 1 day, to see if we're easing off. And we are. These histograms coming down, that's an ease off of the blast up. That is accelerating downward, actually. The 12-hour time frame has crossed to the negative, and we have a negative histogram. That is a really important cross there. So not much divergence there. Let's go into the 4-hour time frame. This is where the divergence was standing out. Just like in the relative strength index, we could see that on the 4-hour time frame, this had a pretty strong divergence from the price. Let's see how it plays out. Because in the closer time frames now, we're going to be watching for them to be crossing positive and supporting this parallel channel to continue. That's what we're inside now. And we'll watch the closer time frames here to see what they're saying. Indeed, let's clear off the crap. It is coming up to cross back positive. It's not really enough for me though, because it is so low, it needs to cross and then have another cross higher. So this is really broken down quite low, and it could blast up, who knows? But it'll have to cross over first, then the 4-hour will have to cross over, and it'll have to break through these levels, like I said, before it's going to really kick me back into a bull from here. This is the first good part of it, and I'll be watching for this to ease off and lose momentum as we come up. So in the 5 minutes, still good and stronger and flaring wider. This is looking like it's got strength from underneath this. But this is where I'd be watching for the weakness first, is for this to come up to an area where it stops and it starts to cross over negative like this. So it's flaring wider, getting strength, but as it crosses negative like this, then I know things are easing off and it's running out of momentum. But right now, it's looking pretty good. So let's go to the Ichimoku Cloud. And here's the spoiler. These are the only 2 times where we've come up across the cloud in the same way. After this run up, and we had this top. After this run up, and we've got this top. Which, just for me, it doesn't mean Bitcoin's going to have much trouble, except that we're probably going to go through a long period right along this edge before we actually go and accelerate up again. So all the way along here, and let me grab another tool. Where do these two match before we blast off? And when is this? September, October, November of the next year. So I think that we've got a ways to go here just by looking at this chart. And you know, there'll be all that fear and doubt and all sorts of liquidations both sides of this. And in the meantime, the alts are going to be going to the moon. So let's clear this off. I'm going to go out of the log view and zoom in on this now so that we can take a look at our different time frames. Where is the daily? So daily crossed way early, and I was skeptical about it. I was still looking for a sell signal in the downtrend as we came up into this cloud, and it just kept going up and through it. And it verified on the short-term time frames as the daily was coming up to cross and go positive. So for now, I do believe that we'll stay inside and above this cloud now. Let's see how this all turns out on the daily time frame. Go into the 12-hour time frame. So this also crossed over earlier. Let's go back to the daily time frame to see where they are. So daily crossed earlier, then the 12-hour crossed. Interesting. 12 was back and forth, so it's noisy. 4-hour time frame also crossed in between the 12 and the daily. Just good to know when all these are all crossing together, it's inevitable. Things are moving, and combine it with this 1, 2, 3 formation. It is just a beautiful entry right there. Beautiful, because we mapped it out. Like between 1994 and 1998 is when I learned about this 1, 2, 3 bottom and how to trade it. And I've been practicing it ever since. It works phenomenal in the cryptocurrencies, and the altcoins are setting up. It makes me have butterflies. Let me go into, so I've got the course coming up. I don't teach it all the time. It's not open all the time. It's a very small window of time where I teach that course. And I only do it 2-3 times a year, and only when the bull market is setting up that this kind of trading system really makes sense. I'm not going to teach this kind of trading system when we're in a downtrend. It's not until we come to these bottoms that I even offer this course. So if this is something that you've been looking at and you're working with $5,000 or $10,000 worth of money, this course is worth your money. Let's go on. The Bollinger Bands now. What I'm looking at here, the first thing my eye sees is the potential for a reversal wick here. And I'm watching everything to see how it compares to what we're going on in this before. Should we be going sideways, the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation probably isn't going to do much in Bitcoin. It doesn't do well in the sideways markets. Instead, the Bollinger Band mean reversion trading is going to be king. And this is where I'm going to be really focusing on in Bitcoin until it continues on the trends. But as it's going through these actions, I'm really paying attention to what can I do with the Bollinger Band mean reversions. Since we're in the uptrend, we've broken above the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. The 12-hour EMAs have crossed positive. When it comes down to a Bollinger Band mean reversion trade, I want to practice them on the way towards the trend. So we'll see how that plays out over time. So what we're looking at here in the daily time frame is prices coming up in between the second and third standard deviation and moving sideways. Then they've broken down a little bit. So let's zoom in on the 12-hour time frame. We're still up above the 20 period moving average. Now I'm going to zoom in 4-hour time frame because look at this mean reversion trade signal right here. When it comes down and touches the third standard deviation and pulls up away from it, we have potential for a trade signal. All the way along here, as we're in this uptrend, all of those are interesting. And then I want to hold, since we're in an uptrend, and watch for the 1, 2, 3 top formation as to when I should be getting out. But this is something I'm studying now as Bitcoin is going along for the next 6 or 8 months. Let's see how this turns out. So the 1-hour time frame now, we're zooming in to see how, but this is a much wider neck now. Really widened up. And what happens when we get that from narrow to wide? Probably a lot of sideways. But I love studying it because this is the kind of way I can go back from, like I did over the last year, and rewatch the videos and really get to know how do these indicators combine together with the 1, 2, 3 formation. How do these indicators combine together when we have the 1, 2, 3 bottom and the 1, 2, 3 top? Because they all coincide together at a perfect time. It's not about seeing a screenshot of the chart and making a decision off that any more than you could see a still frame of a pitcher throwing a ball towards the home plate. You couldn't decide what kind of swing you're going to do yet. You've got to see the actual thing moving in motion. Then your brain can follow along with it and hit at the right time. And it's the same with these indicators in our chart formations. They all have to coalesce together and you have to see them in motion. This moves this way as this moves this way. When we get this timing, everything comes together and it's amazing. At first I was kind of a little bit self-conscious about it, I didn't want to call it, but they're coming together so often. We're seeing it. We're seeing it in things like this, where we can see the divergence setting up. We can see the Bollinger Band mean reversion, and we can see where it is in the Ichimoku Cloud when we get into the short-term time frame. We can see all of these things as it makes this 1, 2, 3 top formation and started its breakdown. All of these things coincide. They all coalesce. And if you want to learn that stuff, you want to put that stuff to work for you, head over to the website, go to the lifetime course registration. When you join there, you are a lifetime member. You get all of the bonuses there. We're setting you up so that you are absolutely going to have everything that we have that has made us successful. It's just a matter of practice after that. Now, I'm going to get into the altcoins for a quick second here, because you know that we're in a bull market for the altcoins. When that 12-hour exponential moving average crosses over, it's a potential for the bull market that we just can't ignore. And in fact, we do have a whole bunch of the front movers have already taken off. When we go look at the bull market watch spreadsheet and I go over to the cover, we can see that we have in Binance, we have 19 markets in hold stance already. We have 11 markets now in alert stance, and there are an army of them, another 30, I would say, that are standing right on the edge of becoming alert stance coins right away. This is the first wave of altcoins, and if you've already missed out on this, head over to the website and join this spreadsheet so that you can get this data and you can get up to speed fast. And the reason I say that is because Bitcoin dominance has broken this top formation. It's broken below the 12-hour EMA. It doesn't mean that it's guaranteed that we're going to go into bull market for the altcoins, because we could go sideways more, but it is the time to get prepared and to start putting out the first part of your positions. If it does prove us right, there's going to be lots of time to add on to it. It's going to be huge. It's going to be unthinkable. And you know that if you had taken $10 and you had bought Bitcoin in January of 2011, Bitcoin was around 25 cents each for easy math. That means you would have got 40 Bitcoin for $10. Of course, you'd be skeptical in 2011. What is this stuff? I don't know. Let me put this piece of paper in my safety deposit box. Let me put it with my papers in my safe, whatever. It's going to be the same thing with altcoins. So, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You know the old saying. And Bitcoin fooled me. I didn't even know about it. But even in 2015, when I got in at $250 each, I didn't have any really, I was still skeptical, even though everybody's saying it's going to change the world, it's going to go up. Now there's no reason to be skeptical anymore. We know this is going to happen with the altcoins again. And why do we know that? Why can I be so certain about that? Because of this chart here. If you haven't seen this, you can search for it. It's all the world's money and markets in one visualization. And let's do the visualization here. Here's silver. It's bigger than this now because it's up to, it's better than $17 an ounce. But look at the size of cryptocurrency, and let's double this because this is old from March of 2017 or October 2017. I think cryptos have more market cap now. So if we imagine this is doubled, we could give this, Bitcoin could have 2 squares and all the cryptocurrencies could have 1 big square, you know. But compare it against, what's his name? Warren Buffett, Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, that's just Google. Facebook, Amazon, the 50 richest people in the world, all of the currencies in the world. Compare Bitcoin to gold, right? Say Bitcoin is 2 of these squares. Gold is all of these squares. Bitcoin is nothing really compared to all of this stuff. Look at the size of the stock markets. This gets even better. The world's global money supply. This is how much money there is in the world. The narrow money, 36 printed trillion dollars, I think. The global debt in the world. I don't really get it, but that's okay. Commercial real estate, the value of all of the real estate in the world. This is like compared, Bitcoin is 2 of these squares. Then we have the derivatives. This is the futures markets. And they don't even know how big this is. This is the low end of the estimate, all of these black squares. And if I keep going, and we're into the high end of the estimate of the size of the derivatives markets. And I've been scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and it's unbelievable. It's unthinkable. And Bitcoin is 2 of these squares. And when you let that sink in, and the fact that the cryptocurrencies are a new and better way of valuing assets, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. All we need to have is one of these rows. Bitcoin is just worth one of these rows. And it's going to be, McAfee's going to be right. It'll be $1 million of Bitcoin. And the altcoins are going to be valuing up like that as well. And so it's definitely time to put a little bit of insurance money, even if it's $5 into each of the different cryptocurrencies, and set that aside. Remember, $10 into Bitcoin in 2011 would be 40 Bitcoin. Don't let this opportunity slip you by. There are links down to the website down below. Jump into the program that makes best sense for you. I'm nuts about it. You know it. Head over to our Discord chat. Join us there. We're talking about this stuff all the time. There's lots of free information too. I really want to get that across, that this isn't a big sales pitch. The information itself is free. You can go to the website, scroll to the bottom, put your email address in, and you'll get access to the free webinar. That gives you the entire trading plan and the 5 stages of the trade. If you watch that webinar over and over and over and over again, and you take the companion guide book that comes with it, and you read that out and make your own notes and practice this, you can do this all on your own. All of the information that I use is in there. The full course is added information. It's variables to it, variances to it. It is more detail. It's putting everything together and hand-holding you and walking you through it. I know that I do a lot of yoga, and I would never sit and do a full hour's yoga class by myself watching a video on YouTube. I'm just not going to do a proper yoga class. If I go to a class, now I'm going to go through all the sequences. I'm not going to skip things because I'm there. I paid for it. I want the full value. And so if that kind of guided instructor training is going to help make a difference in your trading, and you're working with more than $5,000 to $10,000, take the full course. That lifetime membership is insanely worth it. If you're starting out and you're just with a couple $100, I do recommend that you take the Bull Market Watch spreadsheet training and use this as a co-pilot as you're learning to fly, as you're learning to do this over a long period of time. This takes a while to get practiced at it. And so join us up. Join up with us. There's just so many great things going on. I want everybody to benefit from this. So I've really made it as cost effective as possible so that everyone can benefit from this. We can do the work. You can join in with us, join our community. There's no end to the amount of abundance coming from this change in the financial world. You're at the front edge of it. So I'll leave you. I've got spreadsheets to update. Cheers. Good luck.